guys, Black Sky Survival. Thanks for tuning in. So this whole thing reeks of an inside job. You know, they're saying all these conspiracy theorists are posting all this stuff. Yeah, because it smells, it stinks, and the more that unravels, the more covering up, it just further increases our speculation. We have the director trying to protect Homeland Security trying to protect the Secret Service director from testifying, obviously because she knows something. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri says that whistleblowers have come forward stating most of Donald Trump's security on that day of the assassination attempt were not even Secret Service. You can look here at this document here. In addition to whistleblower allegations suggest the majority of the DHS officials were not in fact U.S. Secret Service agents, but instead drawn from Department of Homeland Security investigations. This is especially concerning given HSI agents were unfamiliar with standard protocols, typically of these type of events. So the agents that were there were not Secret Service. Hence why you hear the one lady say, "What are we doing now?" The unprepared and inexperienced personnel were essentially guys that or ladies that volunteered for this particular day. Just so happened this particular day that the assassination attempt happened, right? Other things that were also not implemented, canines to monitor entry points and detect threats. Individuals without proper clearance were able to gain access to backstage area. Department personnel did not police the security buffer around the podium and not station at the regular intervals around event security perimeter. So the official story they're trying to give us is that some 20-year-old acting completely alone with really no motivation to do it. He's not left any trail of anything. He walked within 150 yards of a presidential campaign rally with a rifle and a ladder, rangefinder, climbed on top of a rooftop that was in full view of Secret Service snipers, mind you, set up his sniping position and fired a shot without anyone intervening or trying to stop him. Even though you had the public sitting there yelling and trying to get attention, you knew about his presence 3 hours prior. He had a rifle. So he left nothing online. They said he had no presence online. So he was not politically radical, or at least not radical enough. He was radical enough to go attempt to shoot Donald Trump, but not radical enough to ever post anything online at all. You know what I'm saying? You have crazy people that post crazy things every day, and they're not doing anything like this. But this kid never did that. He never posted anything online, but he was so radical, he went and took a shot at Donald Trump. He also wrote no manifesto and left behind no indication why he did what he did. So the other day, I did a video about this suspicious lady at the event. And it just so happens she looks identical to the assistant director of FBI, Janine DiGiuseppe, I believe is her name. Now, the FBI denied this fact, but do you believe the FBI? Because all kinds of people are going to say in this video, "Oh, it's already been disproven." It's been disproven by the FBI. Who do you trust them? Who has lied about tons of things in regards to Donald Trump. In my video the other day, I showed how calm and collective she was while shots were being fired. Now watch this video. Shots are fired. She almost smirks. Bends down, and almost smirks. She's looking at the way of the shooter. She looks, everybody's jumping down. She doesn't. She immediately starts recording. Again, the FBI denied this, but it's just crazy that just so happened the day that they used Homeland Security agents instead of Secret Service that didn't know what they were doing, was this day that an assassination, very coincidental, right? Very coincidental. I mean, lucky day, I guess, but for the shooter, that is, for him to get by with all this stuff, because this would never, ever happen. Totally not suspicious at all. Now, I watched some videos about the shooter's acoustics breakdown, and I spoke about this earlier on my live today. I want to play this video again, when the shooting happened. So the first 3 shots sound completely different than the last 5. Play again. Now you hear the Secret Service saying, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Play it again. Listen to her. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because I've never done this before. So the first 3 shots sounded different than the last 5. So the Secret Service also waited to engage. They're not engaging when they realized he had a rifle. They waited minutes until the shooting actually started. Multiple shots fired before they shot. Eight shots, I think it was, before they actually fired upon him. Now, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, you could say a few things, because to me, Thomas Crooks was nothing more than a patsy like Lee Harvey Oswald. And a lot of people say, "Oh, no, you're a conspiracy theorist." The JFK files have been sealed for what, 70 or 80 years? They've not released them. Why? What is so damning in there that Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly shot JFK, and then Jack Ruby shot someone that had no known alliance to Lee Harvey Oswald or JFK, but Jack Ruby, a mobster, shot him, and then he suddenly dies of cancer, some rapid cancer, which they have weaponized cancer, if you don't know. So the Secret Service waited to engage the patsy, because the patsy was probably told not to shoot until he saw the target go down, and they just told him to shoot. Right? That would be my guess. The patsy could not get, because let's say the patsy got shot before he started firing rounds, then that would not leave time for the real shooter to take a shot. And earlier in the video today, I was talking about, because a lot of people said that I said it was an incredible shot. The reason why I say that, and I probably should have went into depth on that, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's an easy shot." This kid was on or tried out for a shooting team who was kicked off because he was in the left lane, shot 21 foot over to the right lane when he was aiming 21 foot to the left, trying to shoot the left lane. Okay. So we know he couldn't shoot. He had a DPMS rifle that was not his, was his father's. It had an EOTech on there. Now, we don't know if this was an old EOTech from 2013 era, which they're much better now, or was it one that he purchased, which I don't know, or maybe given by someone. And because they would probably wonder how he made such a clean shot, not being a good shooter. They probably, without some kind of optic. The thing is that EOTech is not magnified, okay, and it has a hologram type reticle, and the reticle is blurry. Now, if you have a magnifier on it, it cleans that thing up, but it at that distance, it would probably almost cover Donald Trump's head, because it's a blurry. If you've shot EOTech, you know what I'm talking about. That's all I shoot, so I'm very familiar with it. I love them personally. They're not the greatest. I'm just old school dude, and that's what I like. I stick with things that I'm used to, or that work for me. So anyway, and so we don't even know if that EOTech was zeroed. Okay, that's the biggest thing. We don't know if it was zeroed. So how would we think this kid that cannot shoot goes up there with an EOTech, non-magnified, because he wasn't meant to really make the shots. He was a patsy, right? Now, if you want to look at the trajectory here, let me back up. Let me go to this one. There was a spotting in some videos of an image at the tower here, possibly taking shots, and it moved. You can find the video online. But if you look at the trajectory of the rounds, if you look at on top of the building here, and you see Trump, the yellow line goes towards the backside of the bleachers. But if he was to shoot from the water tower, it would hit the people in the bleachers, like what actually happened. Word tower. So you see what I'm saying? So the alignment of this really, and you see the Secret Service counter snipers here as well. It just doesn't really add up. And the other odd thing is that he had 2 cell phones. He's a loner, they said. A loner, lone wolf, doesn't know anybody. He doesn't have any friends, but he has 2 cell phones. I don't know many people with 2 cell phones. I have 2 cell phones because I'm a businessman. But it's not typical, especially some loner 20-year-old kid. I can assure you, before I became a businessman, I couldn't even afford 2 cell phones. He was working at the cafeteria of a nursing home. How did he afford 2 cell phones? He also had 3 encrypted accounts overseas. Very strange. Why would he have encrypted accounts overseas? Doesn't make sense. The other odd thing is that when they checked his cell phone, he had no bomb making search at all. However, he was able to assemble remote controlled IEDs. Now, when they looked at his phone, the last few things they found. Oh, so I'll get to that in a second. The last things they found is that he had texted his parents. Now, his parents, which is weird because his parents said they hadn't seen him, but he sent text. So what does that mean? That means he probably told them he was doing something, because they called the police saying that they couldn't find him for 3 hours when he was supposed to be at work. Why would that be strange? He's supposed to be at work. And then also he looked at porn. That was what he searched for before. Yeah. This kid's a patsy. You can't make me believe that. Now, the other thing is that they said that they found his van here. Law enforcement officials are checking it, and it had explosives and bomb making materials that were discovered. But the weird thing is that he supposedly drove a gray Hyundai Sonata, and I actually have a subscriber that was there and took a video of him leaving his car. Now, I'm not going to play that video, but I can tell you I have it. He was leaving his car, the gray Hyundai Sonata. So how did a van get there that was his, and then he had a gray Hyundai Sonata? I'm going to show the video that he did send me. He sent me 2 videos, but this is one. He put some edit together. You're going to see the gentleman, and nobody's seen this. I'm the only one that has it. He's the same gentleman that John, the Army veteran, that sent it me the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, look how close it is. Yeah. It's not bad.
So you see that that red arrow? That is Thomas Crooks there.
It looks like it's in the shade if you want to park and go.
But on that street was the gray Hyundai Sonata. So whose van was it that they're checking? They said there was bomb making materials in. The other thing is that he flew a drone around the park. However, the fairground there, but the Secret Service didn't fly drone footage. So he was able to get aerial footage of the fairgrounds shortly before the president was set to speak. Now, huge security lapses. And just so happens the day that the assassination attempt took place. Wow. Check this out.
Everyone's been asking why a drone wasn't flown over the Trump rally site on July 13th. Well, we just found out from the Wall Street Journal moments ago that a drone was flown over the site hours before the rally. but it was actually operated by the gunman. Joining me now, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, this is unbelievable. We are just learning, sources telling the Journal, that the predetermined path suggests that Mr. Crooks flew the drone more than once as he researched and scoped out the site. He was researching other Trump events as well, supposedly also did some search about the Democratic National Convention. But this adds to the growing list of questions we have for the Secret Service director. This is getting worse by the day.
Indeed it is, and we have had no transparency. She hasn't done a press conference, which usually the lead agency head will assemble a press conference and let people know what is going on. And Laura, the thing that is so frustrating about this is we're getting these bits and pieces. We're trying to verify and make certain that we know what is information, what is rumor.
Well, the thing is, anything that's coming from the government is probably some narrative they're trying to paint. You know, they just so happens they try to paint this narrative now that I showed earlier. Trump shooter Thomas Crooks threatened to shoot up his high school and put bombs in the bathrooms years before his failed assassination attempt by a former president. Now, all the guys that have been to school with him never said anything like this. They said it was very quiet. No one's ever said anything like this. Who is saying this? Because they're trying to build this narrative, because they're trying to shut down the second shooter. That's pretty much, we all know there was a real shooter, and Thomas Crooks was the patsy at this point. So they're trying to make an attempt to just blunt all of that. He's a crazy kid, loner, and all this sort of stuff. Lone wolf. It's all a lie. There was a second shooter. You can't make me believe this 20-year-old kid with an EOTech non-magnified DPMS rifle could take that shot. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. He couldn't shoot anyway. It's not a trained shooter. For him to take this up, they're sitting on it was 91 degrees that day on that hot tin roof for 30 some odd minutes. He would have cooked, right? He would have been sweating so bad. He, in the amount of stress and adrenaline rushing through his veins, trying to do this. I don't believe it. He's not a trained operative. Or maybe he is. Because there was a lot of people betting against Trump. The day before he was shot, a $96 million short sale was betting against Donald Trump media because they knew it was going to happen. And the company is owned by none other than BlackRock. The company that made the short sale was also owned by BlackRock. And that is also the company that Thomas Crooks appeared in a commercial of. How convenient. And so many convenient things surrounding this, you know. And then what I spoke about the other week is that the Democrats are flipping out because the Trump debate where he annihilated Joe Biden and they were calling for him to resign. Then they championed behind him the following week and said, no, we have to support him. He's our guy, because they thought Trump would not be alive by the weekend. But once that happened, whenever Trump survived that, what did they say? Joe Biden has to step down again. Last night, you were hearing all over the media that Joe Biden was stepping down, that Barack had told him to step down, and that Joe Biden said he would not step down. Now, the problem is you have Democrat strategists trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Check this out. Biden, Barack Obama's Plan C. You know how I told about PACE plans, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. So this is apparently their contingency plan. And then emergencies last, which is World War III, or maybe the whole grid shut down. So they're trying to exploit a loophole to get Barack Obama back in the White House, which includes making him Joe Biden's running mate and next in line if Joe Biden should step down after the nomination. So Obama obviously was term limited. You can only serve as president 2 terms, but the legal scholars are now saying that Biden could give him a vice president shot by replacing Kamala Harris. And that, because I guess the wording is that you have to be elected or run for that position, whereas he would be given that position if Biden were to step down because of health or what have you. And they're saying that a Biden-Obama ticket would be much better chance of beating Trump. Now, I have always been speculating that it'll be Big Mike, Michelle Obama. But apparently the DNC is going to go ahead and say it's Joe Biden. Now, there was, again, conflicting stories because they were saying he was going to step down by the weekend, but now they're saying he's going to stay. So he could potentially switch the vice president. And the only way he could do that would be either Michelle Obama or Barack Obama, in my opinion. If he did anything else, they would lose completely because they would be shunning Kamala Harris, the first female black vice president. It would be detrimental to them. They couldn't put a Gavin Newsom in there. They couldn't do any of that sort of stuff. But again, this is their plan C. So they've already went through 2 plans. They try to get him indicted, put in jail, taken off the ballot, their primary. Their alternate was the assassination, A, assassination. C is this, and then E is probably World War III, or maybe complete grid goes down. What happened today was one of the biggest cyber attacks and knock everything out. Biggest IT outage ever reported, according to experts, major banks, media, airports, airlines, payment systems impacted, 911 services throughout several U.S. states. The London Stock Exchange, again, many media companies and CrowdStrike CEO says that was not due to a cyber attack, but they're not going to tell you that. You think they're going to tell you the truth. I hope people start realizing they're never going to tell you the truth. Whatever they tell you is a lie. And so they say this was an isolated event, but we know it's not. It's probably was practice in case we need to shut everything down because of what's happening. They cannot lose control. They're willing to do anything. AOC said today we're willing to do anything to keep Donald Trump from being president. What does anything mean? Anything means anything. I also wanted to share this before I go. They made a GoFundMe for this guy, Thomas Matthew Crooks. They only raised $100, but besides the point, who would give money to this patsy is beyond me. I would just want to know what they told this kid. I want to know what the dark overlords, how they finagled this kid, because he's obviously MK Ultra, and people say MK Ultra is not a conspiracy theory. It's proven by documentation that it actually happened. Right? It's 100% a real thing. But people always say it's not true, or it's a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely true. So what did they promise this kid to go be the patsy? I mean, obviously he didn't know he was the patsy. He obviously thought he was going to get away. But what did they tell him? Maybe the explosives were supposed to be a diversion. Who knows? I don't believe he built them. I don't believe he did any of this stuff. He probably had his stuff pre-planned because in the video I've seen him walking from his vehicle, he did not have a rifle. So somebody maybe pre-staged his rifle or he pre-staged it in a location out there. But anyway, guys, I wanted to share this because so many people will say, well, the FBI said it's not that lady. It looks 100% like her. And I said something was suspicious about her the day when I made the video. Anyway, guys, I want to know your thoughts below. Remember, stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Take